Okay, so we are recording now at this present time. And let me try to go to the screen share while I'm getting set up. So a little bit more blabbing on my part. Okay, so I was almost done with 3.1. So I'll do that, and I'll do 3.2. I might even finish 3.2 today, but if not, I can sneak in some over tomorrow. Okay, I was going to let you ask questions, a question and answer session, the second half. So if you have any questions from here or here, you can bring it up during our second hour. Okay, if not, I will either keep going or we might just end early. Okay, and then tomorrow I might lecture for a very short time, question and answer, and then we can break. And the break does not have to be at 12 o'clock tomorrow or something like that. If we break at 11:30 or whatever, that's fine. And that just gives you more time, you know, than an hour, hour 15, hour 30 even, to do the test. Okay. So some ground rules. I know a lot of you are saying, oh, you already said all this. I repeat myself over and over and over again. So there shouldn't be any excuse. Like somebody says, oh, I don't remember what your rules were, you know. And a lot of you can vouch for me. I said it like 2 or 3 times, and it's also in the syllabus, right? Okay, so for tomorrow's test, about 10 questions. Coverage is everything here and here. You need to turn in the homework. Okay, I'll take the homework anytime after class today, up until half an hour at the end of tomorrow's class. So tomorrow I will close the class normal at 1 o'clock, right? And then you have 5 minutes to take a picture of your cell phone, click, 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 click. Email it to me just like you did the quizzes. Email me the homework just like the quizzes. And I'll give you another half an hour for that. So let's say until 1:30. Okay, so you have until 1:30 to submit the homework. Okay, there's a 70% homework requirement. So if you don't turn in the homework, then I don't grade your test. Okay, that's my rule. Okay, so that's a requirement for me to grade your test. And I'm not a handwriting expert, but I have a couple of samples of your writing from the quizzes, and I'll look at the homework writing and the writing on the test, and if I look at it and say, hey, the writing on the homework doesn't seem to match the writing on the test, then I get very suspicious, right? Okay, or you know, you write a certain way in a quiz and it doesn't match the writing on the test or whatever, right? And maybe I think somebody else wrote it, and so that makes me get very suspicious. Now, of course, I can't prevent all cheating, but you know, one thing that I check for, of course, is maybe you can get someone to cheat for you on the test, but you are much less likely to get someone who wants to do all this homework for you, right? Because you know, I look and see if it's the same writing for that. Okay, so that's the way the test will work. So again, how do I study? Just study all of this. Go to Star or Mackenzie's review sessions. That would also be great. And of course, I'm going to let you ask questions later today too. All right. So I'll go ahead and get started. I will knock off the rest of where I was in 3.1. And again, anything I do in 3.1, 3.2 is not going to be covered on the test tomorrow. Okay. So on schedule, I was going to go up to 3.2. Again, ultimately, if I keep this schedule, as I said before, we're actually ahead because I have buffer days at the end. Okay. So we were starting functions. Okay. So go ahead and again, take notes, but don't look at anything that I do today from chapter 3.1 or 3.2 until after the test. You're focusing on the test. Okay, but let me knock off some more problems from 3.1. So last time I did 31. Let me show you 33. H of x is 1 minus 2x squared. Find each of the following. Okay, so I'll show you a couple of those. Okay, so today is what, the 3rd? Wednesday, 2, 3. So 3.1. Page 139. 33, they say f, or h of x, I guess, is 1 minus 2x squared. Okay. H of radical 2. put radical 2 right there. 1 minus 2 radical 2 squared. What is radical 2 squared? 2. So it's 1 minus 2 times 2. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So my answer is negative 3. B, h of 5/6. That's not very nice. But I just put 5/6 over here. 1 minus 2 times 5/6 squared. Clean it up. Order of operations, you square first, right? So 5/6 squared is 25 over 36. Cancel, 18. 2 goes in 36 18 times. So 1 minus 25 over 18. 1 over 1. Multiply this by 18. Multiply this by 18. So I have 18 minus 25, negative 7 over 18. Okay. And then how about I do D for you? C is similar, but I'm doing the harder one. H of x plus little h. Okay, so right here, pretend you erase that x, put parentheses, x plus h. So it looks like this. 1 minus 2 parentheses squared. 1 minus 2 parentheses squared. Inside the parentheses, x plus h. Okay, now I got to clean that up. X plus h squared. I'll do the shortcut. X squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Okay. Recall that's a square of a binomial, so a little timeout here. A plus b squared, you might recall, is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And if you have a minus, this is a minus. This stays a plus. Okay. By the way, you can put these on your cheat sheet. And yes, a reminder, on the test, you're allowed one cheat sheet, okay, one formula sheet, standard size 8.5 by 11, front and back, okay. And you can use a calculator, but beyond that, you can't use anything else. So you can't use your book, you can't use your notes, you can't use people, you can't use the internet, you can't use a computer to help you with the test, right? Okay, and then I just distribute the negative 2. So final answer is 1 minus 2x squared minus 4xh minus 2h squared, it looks like. And that's what I got. Okay. Okay, then let's see. The last one I was going to show you was 37. And then I will be done with 3.1. But of course, don't look at this until after the test. 37. Let f of x equals x squared minus 6x. Find all real numbers x, if any, that satisfy the given equation. Okay, f of x equals 16. So all I'm going to do is plug in 16 right here and solve. Plug in negative 10 and solve. Plug in negative 9 and solve. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so f of x equals x squared minus 6x. Yes, I do see somebody put something in the chat. I can't look at it now unless Star, if you want to catch up for me, appreciate it. Okay, so A says f of x equals 16. So just put 16 here. Solve for x. This is a quadratic equation, so put the 16 over. 0 equals x squared minus 6x minus 16. Looks like it's factorable. What two numbers have a product of 16 and a difference of 6? 8 and 2, right? X, 8, 2, and minus and plus. So x is equal to 8 and x is equal to -2. Okay. And yeah, let me raise it up. Let me go back here and raise it up for focusing purposes. And there's that. And there's that. Okay. And B, same thing, except they say f of x equals -10. Okay. Yeah, a quick word about how do I give out the test tomorrow. After the break, whenever the break is, I will send it over Canvas announcements. So look for the test under Canvas announcements, the same location where I put the videos every day. Okay. I'll also project it. Some of you might like it better when I just project over here, so I'll do both. And remember, for the test, you have to have your camera on with a true background. Okay, so that's the only time where I absolutely positively insist that you have your camera on. I need to see if you're cheating, obviously, right? So your camera on and true background, so don't have behind you like the Golden Gate Bridge or anything like that. True background and camera on. Keep yourself muted. If you have a question during the test, send it to me during the chat. Don't unmute yourself and, you know, say something. I mean, think about, pretend we were taking a test on campus, right? If we were in the middle of a test, I wouldn't want you right in the middle to say, hey, I got a question about number 7 or whatever. You know, that obviously disrupts everybody else. So just send it through the chat. That's the equivalent of you're coming up to me and whispering, hey, I got a question about blah, 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 right? Okay, so if you have a question, send it through the chat. And yeah, you got to have your camera on during the test, obviously. Okay, so put -10 right over here. -10 equals x squared minus 6x. Add 10. Okay, this is not factorable, so quadratic formula, right? A is 1, B is -6, C is 10. Okay, so -b plus or minus the square root. And if you want to put the quadratic formula on your cheat sheet, you may, on your formula sheet. Okay, b squared, 36 minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 10, over 2 times a, 2 times 1. And I see this is going to be 36 minus 40. That's going to be a negative number. -4 over 2. The question asks for real number solutions, so no real solutions. Okay, we'll get into the I business. Some of you might recall I, square root of -1 and all that. We'll get that later, but for right now, no real solution. Okay, then C, and then I'm done with that section. F of x equals -9. So same thing, put -9 right over here. -9 equals x squared minus 6x. Add 9. X squared minus 6x plus 9. Factor. It's x minus 3, x minus 3, which I can write as x minus 3 squared. And let me show you this also, in case you want to catch that on the video for focusing. So x is just 3. So that's about it. Three, sorry, came out bad. Okay, I'm done with 3.1. Don't study it for tomorrow's test. You don't have to turn this in for homework for tomorrow's test. This will be in the next test. Okay. And I'll get started with some of 3.2. Okay, let me check the chat. Catch some of you from there. Okay, that's all right. Do we have to submit the cheat sheet? No, you don't have to. And let's see. I think I've caught up. Yeah, so you don't have to submit the cheat sheet. And I think I've got everything that we have there. Okay, so I'm going to get started with 3.2. which is on graphs of functions. Okay, don't look at it for tomorrow's test. You don't have to submit it for homework. Just submit 1.1 to 2.4 for homework. Right? So I'm going to go on with 3.2 now. Okay, we're doing graphs of functions now. All right, so here are some graphs. You can always plot x versus y for graphs of functions. So here are some graphs that they give us. Square root function looks like that. X cubed looks like that. They plotted some points. It's on page 141. How do you get it? You can make a table, although after a while you kind of want to start to memorize what some of these look like. Okay, so you want to start memorizing this is the square root function. That's what x cubed looks like, and so on. Okay, page 142. I think you've heard of this before in your algebra class, the vertical line test, right? Page 142. A graph in the xy plane represents a function of x provided that any vertical line intersects the graph in at most one point. Okay, so what that means, okay, so this is a function. If I draw a vertical line anywhere, it's going to touch at 1 point or 0. You're allowed to touch 0. So this is considered a function. The circle, however, is not a function because you can draw a vertical line which touches 2 points. So this is not a function. Right? Now, if they give me a graph, we can talk about domain and range. You might recall the domain is a set of possible x values, and the range is a set of possible y values. So we talked about that earlier. So if they give me a graph like this, the range and the domain set of x values goes from 1 to 5. That's bracket 1, 5. The range looks like you're going from 2 to 4, so that's bracket 2, 4. Okay. All right. When they say h of whatever, f of whatever, they put the parentheses, right? That's always the x. So they're saying when x is that number, what's y? So when you see h parentheses -2, it no longer means multiply. You're not multiplying. H of -2 means when x is -2, what's the y? So in this particular case, it'd be -1. H of 3, when x is 3, y is 4. Look for the closed dot. That doesn't count because it's open, right? And that's a little bit more work. Absolute value of h of -4. Well, it make you jump through one more hoop. First, figure out h of -4. H of -4 is -2. And then the absolute value. So the absolute value of -2 is 2. Okay, so that's what they want you to do for something like that. Okay. Okay, some other functions. And how do you come up with these functions? You can make a table, but again, after a while, it's worth it to memorize what some of them look like. Okay, absolute value function is V-shaped. I'm on page 144. So if you plot some points, y equals absolute value of x. They got 1, 1, -1, 1, 0, 0. Okay, that's the absolute value function, V-shaped. Domain is all real numbers. Notice they put -infinity to infinity. I prefer the funny looking R. Okay, it's a little bit easier. So again, the funny looking R is another way to write all real numbers. The range is 0 to infinity, including 0. Okay, so y can be 0 and anything bigger than 0. So bracket 0, comma, infinity. Right? Okay, y equals x squared. It's a parabola, right? Square function. Domain is all real numbers. Range is again from 0 to infinity. Cube function looks like this. Okay, so what's the extent of x? All real numbers. What's the extent of y? Also all real numbers. So that's the cubing function. Okay, reciprocal function, y equals 1 over x. Okay, if you plot a whole bunch of points, it looks like this. Okay, now the way they write the domain and range is correct, but I don't really like it. I'll show you my way. Okay. So the domain is all real numbers except for 0. You can't put a 0 in, right? You're not allowed to divide by 0. And the range is also all real numbers except for 0. Okay. So they write it like this. From negative infinity to 0, union 0 to infinity. Same thing for the range. It's correct. I'll accept it. But to me, it's a lot easier to go like this. The set of all real numbers minus the set consisting of 0. Okay. So if you look at this, negative infinity to 0, 0 to infinity, you might have to think about, what is it talking about? Then if you think of the number line, you might eventually get it. Here it's very obvious. Every real number except throw out 0, minus the set consisting of 0. Okay. And same thing for the range in this particular case. All right, set of all real numbers minus the set consisting of 0. Okay, so I'll normally do this rather than this. Okay, square root function looks like this. Both the domain and range is bracket 0 to infinity. Non-negative numbers, positive and 0. Square root function. And then they got the semicircle function, half of a circle. If I complete the whole circle, it looks like this. Y equals square root of 1 minus x squared. Okay, so domain, negative 1 to 1, bracket, negative 1, 1 bracket, going from negative 1 to 1. Right, that's the extent of x. Range, what's the extent of y? Well, y values only go from 0 to 1, so bracket 0 to 1. Okay, so that's what's happening there. Okay, then we have something called piecewise defined functions, where you break a graph on page 145. You break it up into 2 different pieces. Okay. So g of x is x squared if x is less than 2. 1 over x if x is greater than or equal to 2. Now, I know that looks like a parabola. This one over here. So I draw the parabola only for x less than 2, which means only right here. And when you plug in 2, you get 4, right? But it's going to be an open circle because you're not really including the 2. So open circle, parabola. And then the rest of the graph, when x is greater than or equal to 2, I graph 1 over x, which looks like this, but that's only valid from 2 on. Okay. So I plug in 2. If I plug in 2, I get a half. And then the rest of the graph is like that. So this is a piecewise defined function. You have to split it into pieces, 2 different pieces, to come up with a graph of that function. Okay. All right, I think we're ready to do some problems. Okay, what time is it? 11:40. Okay, we've got plenty of time. Okay, so the assignment was 1 to 27 odd. Okay, so right now, again, for the benefit of those of you that never want to get the book, I'll show you the key pages. 147, problem 1, and then 3 through 27. So a lot of graphs. 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. I guess I better show you the directions. The graph of the function is given. Give the domain and range. And the axes are marked off in 1 unit intervals. Okay. So 11, 13, 15 looks kind of funny. Here we are. Let's see, 17. There's the directions there. And there's 19. Okay. Refer to the graphs F and G in the figure. So I guess you got to look at this thing over here. Yeah. 21, 23, 25, 27. Okay, so there we go. All right, number 1. Specify the y coordinate. Well, to put 3 there, the graph is square root of x. So square root of 3. And it says round to 3 decimal places. Okay, so 3.2, page 147. Number 3, f of 3 is the square root of 3, and then 3 decimal places. So whip out the calculator. 3 square root 1.732. That's all. So they give me the graph, right? The function is square root of x. So I plug in 3, I got the square root of 3. So there it is. That's all. Okay, 5. Use the vertical line test to determine whether each graph represents a function of x. Okay, so look at 5a. If I draw vertical lines anywhere, I touch at only one point. So is 5a a function? Yes. Okay. B, however, you can draw a vertical line which touches at 2 points. Okay. So from the vertical line test, 5a is yes, it's a function. 5b is a no. Okay, so 5a is yes, and b is no. Okay. Okay, give the domain and range. Okay, so domain is a set of possible x values, range is a set of all possible y values. Okay, so how about I'll show you number 9. Number 9, what's the extent of x? So x goes from here to here. So where is here? So -3 out to 1, 2, 3, 4, including -3 and including -4. If I count right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So the domain for number 9 is bracket -3, 4. Okay. If we know we're talking about domain and range, I'll abbreviate D for domain and R for range. Okay, range is up and down. So the lowest is -2 and the highest is +2. So bracket -2, 2. Like that. Okay. 11's kind of funny. There's a hole right there. So that's going to change domain and range a little bit. Okay, so ordinarily I would go from here to here, which is -1, 2, 3, 4. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So -4 to 4, except we don't have -1. So I'm going to go from -4, including -4, to -1 with parenthesis. So for 11, from -4 to -1. Count the -4. Don't count the -1. Where to go? And then from -1, not counting -1, out to +4, inclusive. So it's like that. Range. So I go down to -2. I go right up to, but not quite 1, 2, 3. So 3 is not in the range, but 2.9999 is. So 3 has to get a parenthesis. -2 gets a bracket. So for the range, looks like bracket, -2, 3 parenthesis. Okay. Because -2 is included. I have a closed circle there, but 3 is not. Okay. So again, for the range, y values, -2 is down here. I got a closed circle there, but I have open circle here. So I do not have 3, but I have 2.9999, so that's in there. Okay. All right, and then 13. To 13. Okay, x should be pretty obvious. That's 1, 2, 3, -4 to 3, inclusive. Count -4, count 3. So bracket, -4 to 3. What about the range for 13? Right here, y is 2. And that's about it, right? There's no number higher than 2. There's no number smaller than 2. So I write that in set notation, which is to use braces. Okay, so braces means it's a set. Okay. Just like when I was writing throwing out a set, right? When I said throw out 0. Okay. This is not an interval, so you should not use brackets or braces. Just, sorry, you shouldn't use brackets or parentheses. Okay. Just braces like this. Okay. It means 2, and that's it. That's all we got. Okay. All right. 15. And then, let's see, you got this funny thing that goes up and down or whatever. So here's the graph of that. All right, so let's just answer all the questions. And sorry, I can't write this and show you the book at the same time. Now, if we were meeting on campus, right? If we were meeting on campus, I could project this and then use the whiteboard to write the answers, but that's not going to happen here. So sorry, I'll just have to have you write it down as I say it. Find f of -5. Okay, that means when x is -5, what's y? When x is 2, what is y, and so on. So f of -5, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is here. So where's here? 1. Okay, so the answer to A is 1. Well, maybe I can just write it over here. Why don't I just do that? I can write it in my book. I don't mind. I'm keeping the book. F of 2. When x is 2, what's y? 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. So -3. Raise it up for you there. C is f of 1 positive. F of 1 positive. When x is 1, y is -2. So the answer is no. D, for which value of x is f of x equal to -3? Okay, this means y equals -3. Okay, so you might recall in your algebra, when you said f of x or g of x, that was y. Okay? So let y be negative 3, 1, 2, 3. Find the corresponding x value. Here it is. So what's the x coordinate? It looks like it's 2. X equals 2. All right, finally, they're asking me to compute this funny thing, f of 2 minus f of negative 2. So f of 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's negative 3. Subtract f of negative 2. 1, 2. We're here. That looks like negative 2. Whoops. Negative 3 minus a negative 2, which is negative 3 plus 2, or negative 1. So the answer is negative 1, it looks like. Okay, let's see, what time is it? Maybe I'll just do one more, and then we'll break. Okay, 17. The following figure displays the graph of a function f. Okay, so same thing, let me just write it in the book here. Hey, is f of 0 positive or negative? F of 0 looks like it's 1 point something, so it's positive. I'll just put a plus sign for positive. B, find f of negative 2, f of 1, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so again, it means when x is this, what's y? When x is that, what's y, and so on. Okay, f of negative 2, y is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4, I guess I'll just put them in order. F of 1, 1. See, this is like saying when x is negative 2, what's y? When x is 1, what's y? But it's a lot faster to just write the f business. Okay, f of 2, 2. F of 3, 0. And I'll raise it up. Okay, so when x is negative 2, y is 4. When x is 1, y is 1. When x is 2, y is 2. And when x is 3, y is 0. Okay, C, which is larger, f of 2 or f of 4? So higher up. F of 2 is up here. F of 4 is way down here, so f of 2 is larger. F of 2. D, find f of 4 minus f of 1. So f of 4 was negative 2 minus f of 1 is 1. So negative 3. E, find the absolute value of part D. Three. And F, domain and range. Let's see where I can squeeze it. I'll put it over here, okay? (17F). Domain and range. Okay, domain, we're going from there to there. Negative 2 to 4, inclusive. Negative 2 to 4. Range, up and down. Here to here. So that's negative 2 4. Oh, same thing. -2 to 4. All right, I think it's a good time to break. So I'm actually almost done with 3.2, folks. So I'll probably finish very early, at which point I'll let you ask questions. I'm not going to give you an in-class assignment today. It's probably not fair for me to give you an in-class assignment on 3.1, 3.2 because you're not focusing on that. So I'll finish after the break very quickly, let you ask questions, and when the questions stop, we'll just stop. Okay, and tomorrow I'll let you ask questions also before the test. But if that stops, then we can just go straight to the test also. Okay, all right, so let's break. I will stop the share. Check the time, 11:55-ish. Okay, let's start up again about 12:10. Okay, I'll put that in the chat also. Okay, break until 12:10, please. And I will disappear also. All right, folks, let's pick up where we were. So let me start sharing the screen again. Whoops. There we are. Okay, now normally we say first half, second half. The second half is not going to be that long at all. I have planned to talk about 19 and 21, and that's it. Okay, and I was going to save 23, 25, 27 until tomorrow. That should not take that long either. Okay, so game plan, I'll do 19, 21, finish it up. Then I'll let you ask questions about the test. And whenever that stops, we stop. So if you have no questions, then we'll just end. But if you want to ask questions, you may. Okay, remember, you can go to review sessions from Star or McKenzie. Tomorrow, I'll start off with 23, 25, 27. That should not take that long either. Okay, and then I'll let you ask questions again. And let's make the maximum that you can ask questions is until our normal break time, which would be 12 noon. Because I'm promising you 15 minutes for the test. So the latest that we stop the first half is 12 noon. But hey, if we stop at 11:30, 11:40, that's okay. That just gives you more time to do the test. And then the rest of the time, after the break, I'll give you the test. I'll send it over Canvas announcements. And then the rest of the time, you have the test until 1 o'clock, as usual. Okay, so I'll close the class at 1 o'clock tomorrow, as usual. If you finish early, you can leave early. Email me your tests, just like the quizzes. Email me your homework, and I'll give you another half an hour, so until 1:30, that you have to submit the homework. But hey, if you have the homework ready right after class, if you want to submit it, that's fine also. Okay. All right, so let's knock off what we can. 19. So I think we have to look at this picture. And I don't know why they split it like that, but let's see. Hey, which is larger, f of -2 or g of -2? So f of -2, whoops, something happened there. Here we are. F of -2, g of -2. Okay, so the red one, blue one, so the blue one is higher, right? So g is larger than f. So g of -2. It's actually quite awkward trying to lift up the book and write stuff down and so on. B, compute f of 0 minus g of 0. F of 0 minus g of 0, so that's 2 minus a -3. F of 0 is 2, g of 0 is -3. So 2 minus a -3, which is 5. F of 0 is 2, g of 0 is -3. F of 0, g of 0. Which among the following three quantities is the smallest? F of 1 minus g of 1, f of 2 minus g of 2, f of 3 minus g of 2. So I got to figure them all out, I guess. So f of 1 minus g of 1. F of 1 minus g of 1. 1 minus a -1, which is 2. So 1 minus a -1 equals 2. F of 2 minus g of 2. 1 minus 0. 1. Raise it up there. F of 3 minus g of 3. 1, 2, 3. F of 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 minus 1. So which one's the smallest? The smallest is this one. This one's the smallest. 2, 1, and 3. That's all. D. For which values of x does g of x equal f of 1? G of x equals f of 1. Well, what is f of 1? F of 1 is 1. It's just like saying where is y equal 1 for the g function, blue function. There's one over here and one over here. Right? So again, f of 1 is equal to 1. So what values of x is g of x equal to 1? That means what's the x coordinate right here? So that's -2 and 3. So -2, whoops, -2 and +3. And finally, E. Is the number 4 in the range of f or in the range of g? Okay, so range of f, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's up here. So the answer is F. So that's all. Okay, then I was going to show you 21, and that's it. Save 23, 25, and 27 for next time. Or I don't know, maybe I can squeeze one of them in. Let's see if I have time for that. We shall see. So I showed you all these graphs, y equals absolute value of x, blah, blah, blah. Okay, how do they come up with that? Simply with a table. Okay, so 21a, y equals absolute value of x. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, why did I pick these numbers? Well, they're convenient. It includes 0, includes positives and negatives, so we'll go from there. Okay, absolute value of 0, 0. Absolute value of 1, 1. Absolute value of 2, 2. Absolute value of -1, 1. Absolute value of -2 is 2. Graph it. And by the way, you don't need graph paper on the test, just freehand like I'm doing. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, -1, 1, -2, 2. So there it is, it's V-shaped. Absolute value function, right? And I showed you that before, and you can get that from making a table. Page 144, V-shape. Okay, that's all. B, y equals x squared. Okay, why don't I just do the same thing? -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Raise it up there for focusing purposes. Okay, 0 squared, 0. 1 squared, 1. 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4. And now I do the negatives. -1 squared, -1 times -1. 1. Negative 2 squared, negative 2 times negative 2 is also 4. I don't devote that much space down here because I know I don't have any negative y's, right? So I don't have any negative y's, why devote space to it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Something like that. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 1, 1. Negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we get a parabola just as we expected by plotting points. Y equals x squared. And where was that? I don't see the example that he gave us for x squared. But anyway, you should know that that's what it looks like. Can't seem to find it offhand. Oh, yeah, here we are. X squared. Squaring function. And then C, the cubing function. X cubed. All right, now just do the same thing. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. All right, 0 cubed is 0. 1 cubed is 1. 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Negative 1 cubed, negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, negative 1. Negative 2 cubed, negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. So this time I do get some negatives for y. Okay, so y is going to go from negative 8 to 8, x from negative 2 to 2, I guess. So make the graph like this. So 8 to negative 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I only have to go to 2 and negative 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. And by the way, it is acceptable to have a different scale horizontally and vertically, right? These are more tight in, these are more spread out. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 8, negative 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 8. So there's my cubic function. Looks something like this. Y equals x cubed. Page 144. There it is. Cubic function. All right. And then after that, I'll save it for tomorrow. 23, 25, and 27, we have piecewise defined functions. So we split the graph into pieces. So part of the time it's x cubed, part of the time it's x squared, or x cubed and square root of x, or whatever. Okay. Here's an example of a piecewise defined function. Split it up into different pieces. piecewise defined function, right? So I'll save that for tomorrow. Right, I'm done, folks. Okay, so the rest of the day, I will let you ask questions, but if you don't have any questions, we can stop. Okay, so you can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Okay, but if you don't have anything, we'll just stop. Again, you can go to either star review session if you wish, okay, or Mackenzie, that would work. So tomorrow, I'll start off by doing the rest of 3.2. Again, question and answer or not. Then we break and we take the test. The earlier we, start, then the more time that you have to take the test. Okay, I'll let you turn in the homework starting now, if you wish, all the way until tomorrow at 1:30. Okay. All right, so let's see, 2.4, 55, 37, okay. All right. Okay, so let me get some scratch paper to write some of this down. .455, 2.437, 2.4, somebody asked for 20, but I don't think that was assigned. That's an even one, so I won't bother with that one. 2.449. Yeah, so I don't want to bother doing a problem that wasn't assigned because that doesn't help everybody. 2.455, 37, 49. Okay, that's what I see for now. Okay, so I'll turn off the chat. You can still put stuff in the chat, but I won't be able to see it. So let me see what we got here. Okay, 2.4. 2.455. 1 over x minus 2 minus 1 over x minus 1 greater than or equal to 1/6. Okay, so move over to 1/6. 1 over x minus 2, leave a space, minus 1 over x minus 1, leave a space, minus 1/6, greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so I need a common denominator. So this one needs 6 over 6, and x minus 1, x minus 1. This one needs a 6 and an x minus 2. This one needs both of them. Like that. Okay, so the bottom is 6, x minus 1, x minus 2. Figure out the numerator. So 6 times x minus 1 is 6x minus 6. Negative 6x plus 12 minus x minus 1 times x minus 2, x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay. Cancel, cancel. Negative x squared plus 3x minus 2. And looks like that's going to be plus 6. Okay, I don't like the leading coefficient to be negative, so I'll make it a positive by factoring out the negative 1. So I'll go negative 1, x squared minus 3x, and that was a plus 4, so now it's minus 4. And now I can factor that. Negative 1, x minus 4, x plus 1 over 6, x minus 1, x minus 2, greater than or equal to 0. Okay, I finally got it factored. Okay, so my boundaries are x equals 4, negative 1, 1, and 2. Okay, 4, 1, 2, negative 1. Negative 1, 1, 2, 4. Okay, 1 and 2 are not allowed. You'll be divided by 0. 4 is allowed, and negative 1 is allowed, because you'll get a 0 in the numerator. Okay, so 1's no good, you're divided by 0. 2's no good, divided by 0. 4 is okay, and negative 1's okay. Okay, region 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, negative 2, 0, 1.5, 3, and 5. These are all fraction bars. Okay, there's always a negative 1 and a positive 6, so plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. All these negatives are for the negative 1. All the pluses are for the 6. Okay, negative 2 minus 4 is negative. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative. I have 5 negatives. 5 negatives leaves me negative. Greater than or equal to 0 is false. 0. 0 minus 4, negative. 0 plus 1 is positive. 0 minus 1 is negative. 0 minus 2 is negative. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. Gives me a positive. Positive greater than 0, that's true. Region 2 works. 1.5 minus 4, negative. 1.5 plus 1, positive. 1.5 minus 1, positive. 1.5 minus 2, negative. So I have 1, 2, 3 negatives. 3 negatives leaves me with a negative. False. 3. 3 minus 4, negative. 3 plus 1, positive. 3 minus 1, positive. 3 minus 2, positive. There are 2 negatives. 2 negatives means a positive. True. And finally, 5. 5 minus 4, positive. 5 plus 1, positive. 5 minus 1, positive. 5 minus 2, positive. 1 negative means negative. False. So bracket negative 1, 1, parenthesis, union, paren, 2, comma, 4, bracket. Okay. Okay, let's see. 37 was asked for. Same section. 2.437. 20 is greater than or equal to x squared 9 minus x squared. 20 greater than or equal to 9x squared minus x to the 4th. So all of these over. X to the 4th minus 9x squared plus 20 greater than or equal to 0. X squared minus 5, x squared minus 4 equals 0. Okay, This is going to be plus or minus 2. This is going to be plus or minus radical 5 if you set that equal to 0. So you can write it like this. X plus radical 5, x minus radical 5, x plus 2, x minus 2, greater than or equal to 0. And square root of 5 is about 2.2, just so you know, 2.2. So my number line would go like so. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Negative 2, negative 3, negative 2, positive 2, and then radical 5, 2.2, and negative 2.2. Radical 5, 2.2. Okay, region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Greater than or equal to means they're all closed. Okay. If I plug in any of these into here, you'll get 0 is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Region 1, negative 3. Region 2, okay, between negative 2.2 and negative 2, negative 2.1. Region 3 is 0, positive 2.1, and 3. And I'm plugging into here. Okay, so negative 3 plus 2.2 is negative. That's negative. Negative, they're all negative. 4 negatives. Positive. Positive greater than or equal to 0. True. Negative 2.1 plus 2.2. Positive. Negative. Negative 2.1 plus 2. Negative. Negative 2.1 minus anything is negative. 3 negatives. Negative. False. 0. Positive. Negative. Positive. Negative. 2 negatives. Positive. True. 2.1. Positive. 2.1 minus 2.2. Negative. 2.1 positive. 2.1 positive. Positive. 1 negative means negative. False. 3. Positive. 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 They're all positive. True. So negative infinity, negative radical 5, bracket, union, bracket, negative 2, 2, bracket, union, bracket, radical 5, comma, infinity. And I'll raise this up for focusing purposes. Almost everything. So you just have a little piece here and a little piece here that's left out. Okay. And then somebody asked for 49. And let's see there. Okay, so what's 49? 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 7x. Don't worry if you can't see it, I'll get it. 3x squared plus 7x plus 4. Greater than 0. Okay, well I can factor out an x. Let's see see, 3x plus plus. Let's see, how can I work this out? 1 and 4. Yes. And how about this one? Two x, 7, 1. And you wanted it with a positive, so how about plus minus? And quickly follow that back out. Yeah, that seems to work. Okay, so I got a real lot here. 0, -7/2, 1, -4/3, and -1. 6 regions for this one. So I make that 0. I make that 0, -7/2. Make that 0, 1. You basically set that equal to 0. To save time, I'll just go right to it. So I have all of these. So they're all open, strictly greater than. So 0, let's see, that's -3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. 1, 2, so -7/2. 1, -1, -4/3. 6 regions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's -3.5, so -4, -2. Between -1 and -1.3, so how about -1.1? -0.5, +0.5, and 2. Great big fraction bars. Okay, we actually don't have as much time as I thought. We might not even finish early, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna have to go a little bit fast on this. Sorry, but -4, these are all negative. -4, they're all going to be negative. Yeah. 5 negatives leaves me with a negative. Negative greater than 0, false. -2, negative, but that one's positive. -2 there is a negative. 3 times -2 is -6, plus 4 is negative, and that one's also negative. 4 negatives, positive, true. -1.1, negative, positive. -1.1, negative. -1.1 times 3 is -3.3. Add 4, that'll become a positive. And -1.1 plus 1 is a negative. So I have 3 negatives, which is a negative, not greater than 0, false. -0.5, negative, positive, negative. -0.5, that'll be positive. -0.5 plus 1 is also positive. 2 negatives, positive, true. So that's region 4. Okay. 0.5, positive, positive, negative, positive, positive, negative. 0.5, these are positive. So 1 negative, negative, false. And finally, 2. 2, positive, 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 positive. They're all positive. Positive greater than 0, true. Okay, so negative 7/2 to negative 4/3. Negative 7/2 to negative 4/3. Union, negative 1 to 0. Union, 1 to infinity. Okay. All parentheses, negative 7/2 to negative 4/3. Negative 1 to 0. And then 1 to infinity. Okay. So there we go. And I think I've caught up. Yeah, I think I've caught up. So if I missed your question, go ahead and ask it now. Otherwise, that's about it. What time is it? 10 minutes to 1. Okay, so I'm willing to take more questions until 1, but if you don't have any, we can just stop and go from there. Okay. Any other questions? Either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Wait just a little longer. Okay. What will the test be on? No. Everything here. Chapters 1 and 2. Okay. I'm sure I've said it multiple times. Okay. Anybody else? How many questions? I usually give about 10. I think I've said that multiple times also. But about 10 is what I should say. Maybe 9, maybe 8, probably not. Maybe 11, maybe 12, but probably not. So most likely 10, maybe 9 and 11, but not as likely. Maybe 8 or 12, but even less likely. It's definitely not going to be 30 or something like that. Okay, anybody else, please? Wait just a little longer. Okay, I think that's it. All right, so prepare for the test tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll lecture a very short time. Again, let you ask questions, then we break and we take our test. All right? Okay, that'll do it for today, folks. So everybody have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow for the test. All right, bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
All right, thank you. See ya.